friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and we're here today to talk to you about a couple books that are really special and amazing, and in particular we're here to talk about a very specific author that I absolutely love and adore, and there is a very important reason why we are talking about this author and these books today. I've been saving them up. I'm really excited about it. So the reason I want to talk about them today is because this week is Thanksgiving in the United States, right? So this is a time of year, especially when we like to think about all the things that we're really thankful for in our lives. And a lot of time that can, just off the top of your head automatically manifest in thoughts of, oh, I'm thankful for friends, for family, for my health, for my pets, maybe for my job, my coworkers, stuff like that, right? And those are all amazing things that I am personally very thankful for as well. But there's another thing that I really in particular like to think about this time of year, and that is books and authors. Because there are so many books and authors that I am really thankful for. And I think sometimes we don't tend to think of those things immediately, right? When we're thinking about our thankful stuff. So the reason why is because books just can do so many different things for so many different people, right? So books can help us feel like we're not alone. Books can entertain us. They can scare us. They can make us fall in love. They can help us deeply question things within our own lives and hearts. They're just amazing. They can help us walk a mile in someone else's shoes. You don't have to get me started on books. I'm always just talking about how amazing they are. But there are specific authors and specific books that maybe mean more to us than others. So today I want to talk about and share an author with you that is one of my favorites that I am particularly thankful for this year. And that author is Brandon Sanderson. So the reason I want to talk about Brandon Sanderson when I'm thinking about thankfulness this year is because this year, 2023, has been a very big year for Brandon Sanderson. So if you don't know who that is, he is a contemporary fantasy author. And he is probably one of the biggest names in fantasy right now. He writes books for adults. He writes books for teens. He writes books for middle grades. He writes books for kids. He just is so prolific, and everything he writes is somehow amazing and really different from what he's written before. So you could read a bunch of his books. None of them have similar themes, or, they're just all really unique, refreshing stories. If you're looking for a really good fantasy author to start reading, maybe you're somebody who hasn't read a lot of fantasy before and you're looking to jump into the genre, or maybe you are a fan of fantasy and you're just looking for something new, give Brandon Sanderson a try, because there's going to be something for you for everyone. Because there's something for everyone, particularly for you, right? Because he writes so many different sorts of things. So this was a big year for Brandon Sanderson because he actually published 4 different books this year that were outside of his regular series that he's already writing. So he's got a young adult series that the last book is coming out actually next week. And he's got other things that he's doing too. But these 4 books were actually things that he wrote during the pandemic. It was a really funny story. He has, this YouTube channel and a social media presence, and he came on with this big announcement saying, I've been lying to you guys, and there's something I really need to share with you. And everybody was so worried and nervous, like, oh my gosh, what is he going to tell us? And then it was a happy surprise that, oh, by the way, I wrote 4 different books during the pandemic, and I'm releasing them all during 1 year. Amazing. So he wrote 4 books that all came out this year. 3 out of the 4 of them are all standalone stories that you don't have to know anything about any of his other books to read or enjoy. Now, the 4th one definitely has a lot of elements in his series that I would recommend. If you're not already a fan of his books and reading them, I would recommend to hold off on that one until you're a little bit more familiar with his works. So I'm going to talk about briefly the first 3 of them today, because they are the ones that I think anyone can enjoy. You don't have to already know anything about Brandon Sanderson or his worlds that he creates to be able to understand them. So he has this universe called the Cosmere, and all of his books, or many of his books, all fit maybe on a different world in this universe. So they might be completely different stories, they might be completely different characters, but they are all linked by the fact that they all exist in the same universe. So these 3 books do all exist still there, but you don't have to know anything about what he's writing in any of his other works to enjoy them. So the first book that he came out with was called Tress of the Emerald Sea. I love this cover. Isn't this beautiful? Yes, these are the special hardback editions. The regular covers look a little bit different, but this is basically what it looks like, the first one. So this is a series that was, or this was a book that was heavily inspired by The Princess Bride. And, you know, he was reading it and wondering, you know, well, what if it was the other way around? What if it wasn't Wesley rescuing Buttercup? What if Buttercup was rescuing Wesley? And that is what this story sort of has the feeling of. So this is a story of Tress, who lives on this world. The magical element of this story that's really, really interesting is that there are these like spores in the air and everything, that if you breathe them in, plants will just automatically start sprouting, because as soon as they get wet is when they turn into life. So she falls in love with the governor's son. He is always gifting her little teacups. That is her thing. She loves cups. It's very pretty on the end papers. And anyway, his father is kind of an awful man and sends him off to be married to this other woman, and he gets lost at sea. And they think that maybe he was taken by pirates. So Tress, instead of mourning him and feeling like, you know, this is the end of the world, she's like, well, I think I'm going to go and rescue him. And shenanigans ensue. This is just, the one word I could use to describe this story is whimsical. The story is beautifully whimsical. It is so fun. Yes, there are dangerous things that happen, but it's just really lighthearted and just a beautiful, beautiful story. If you like stories like that, this one, definitely give this a shot. It's only one story, like I said. There's not part of a series or anything, so you can pick it up, enjoy it, and then be done at the end. Tress of the Emerald Sea. So the next one I want to talk about is the second one that came out, which is called The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. So as you can tell from the cover and kind of the name as well, this story is a little bit more science fiction than fantasy. There are absolutely a lot of fantasy elements in it, but there's time travel. There's a lot of sciencey stuff in here that make me lean more towards the science fiction aspect of it. And story starts with this character who wakes up in medieval England, has no idea why he's there. He knows he doesn't belong in this time. He remembers, you know, living in current world. Why is he back in time? Why does he not remember anything about his past? He has no idea what's going on, and now he has to survive back then. So there are so many elements in this, including, like, there's a really great redemption arc. There's just really, really great humor in this one. Like, I absolutely loved it. He ends up finding this guide. That's the only thing near him that he can find that is talking about, oh, you know, so you're in medieval England. How do you survive this? And it's just, this story has a lot of humor. It's super fun, but it also has a lot of introspective wisdom as well. And, you know, helping these characters figure out who they are, what's important to them, what they're willing to fight for. Really, really good story. If you like a more lighthearted fantasy and some with a lot of science fiction element, time travel, machinery, things like that, definitely give this one a go. The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. I love this one too. It's so great. So the third one, I would say probably out of the 4 that came out this year, is probably my favorite. And it's Brandon Sanderson's favorite too, as he says in the afterword. So the third one is called Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Now I adore this cover. Look at how beautiful it is. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. This is another one that has a lot of science fiction elements in it too, but this one has a lot of twists too. If you like stories where there's like a mystery at its core, and you love trying to figure that out, and you love, you know, experiencing big twists in stories, this is a really great one. It's definitely a little bit longer than the other 2, but it's super fantastic. So this is a story about 2 people living in very, very, very different worlds, who come together in a way that is really, really unexpected. So the Yumi is living on this planet where everything is really warm. She has to stack these stones when she goes to different villages. She is just heralded as this important person in her society, and she stacks these stones to invoke their god's favor. Whereas Painter, who, as he is known in by Yumi, is living in this sort of dystopian world where it's always dark and there are these creatures called nightmares who come to prey on people, and he is one of the guards that keeps these people away. And the way he does that is by painting, because he will paint them into drawings and capture them there, and that is how that he and the rest of the painters defeat them, which is a really cool, unique way. Well, for some reason, Yumi and Painter switch places, but they're still there with each other. So suddenly Painter is in Yumi's place and Yumi is in Painter's place, and they have to learn about each other's worlds to survive and to figure out what is going on. Why have they keep switching bodies? What is going on? And it's a really beautiful story. It's also a love story. It's so, so, so beautiful. This was one that he wrote about in the back of the book, saying that he wrote it for his wife as a gift, and it's just absolutely beautiful. The writing is fantastic, as it always will be with Brandon Sanderson's work, but there's also some science fiction elements in this too, but it's mostly fantasy, and just a beautiful story. Like I said, a mystery that you have to try to figure out. Lots of twists and turns as well. I did not see that ending coming. It was really, really fantastic. Highly, highly recommend it. So those are 3 out of the 4 books that Brandon Sanderson wrote during his quarantine that came out this year. Like I said, I don't want to really talk about the 4th one too much because it's really, really based on a lot of the lore that's already existing of his Cosmere universe, and you probably will want to read a little bit. If you're new to him, you'll want to read some of his other works first before you jump into that one. But these 3 are all 3 standalone stories that you can enjoy without knowing anything about his previous works, and they're absolutely fantastic. And maybe you already are a fan of his works and you haven't gotten to these yet, and you're just kind of wondering, well, I don't know, are they worth reading? Yes. They are beautiful, wonderful stories. It's been a fantastic year getting to read with Brandon Sanderson throughout the year, and all 4 of these books rather have come out. Totally fantastic. I am so thankful for him, for his beautiful writing, for his kindness as an author. I did have the joy of meeting him way back many years ago when I lived in New Jersey. He was in Philadelphia doing book signings, so I was very lucky to meet him, and he is just the kindest, most beautiful soul ever. His writing is amazing. No matter what you're looking for, you will find something that you will enjoy in his books. In particular, these are just absolutely fantastic. Super thankful for Brandon Sanderson and the wonderful, fantastic worlds that he writes for us. These books are all available at Farmington Community Library. Please feel free to come in and get them if you'd like. And what are some books and authors that you are thankful for? I'd love to hear about that in the comments. If you can leave me a comment and let me know what books and authors are the ones that you think of immediately when you think of, yeah, I'm really thankful for this person or for this book. And thank you so much for watching, friends, and have a wonderful rest of the day.